Let's be real inside of this. You don't need a pep talk, you need a wake-up call. Because if he's knocking at your door and he's hoovering you again, texting you the I miss yous, the dropping the old photos, trying to spark a nostalgic connection with you, this isn't romance. We need to wake up to this reality. It is a test to be able to see if he has access back into your world. He's testing your boundaries. He's testing your healing. He's testing to see how strong are you actually. Whether or not you figured out that his love was just conditional and it was always manipulative. Let's break it down inside of this and help you wake up to the reality of why does the narcissist come back after the discard. Let's talk through that today. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse, help women that are trapped in toxic relationships or trapped trying to heal outside the relationship, help them break the trauma bond, eradicate the triggers, reestablish who they are with healthy boundaries, and find purpose in their life again. If that's you and you're watching this, we'd love to help you. You can go to rawmotivations.com just to learn a little bit more about what I do. We talked through this piece of the Hoover, breaking this in, and the question of why does he keep coming back after the discard? Why does he come back after the discard and try to Hoover you back? Simple answer inside of this is because he thinks he can. Not because he's changed, not because there's transformation, not because he finally saw the light of day and figured it out. Not because he wants to build a future with you or because he missed you. He comes back because the door is still open. Because you've responded before. You've opened the door, you've left it cracked so he could still have communication, interaction. You believed him before. You taught him, without meaning to, that you're still available, that you still have access guaranteed. That's not shame inside of this, that's programming. You've been trained to believe that maybe this time it'll be different. He's sold you on this reality every single time. That this version of him, the one showing up now, might be the real one, might be the changed one. But listen inside of this, he's not coming back to fix things. He's coming back to reset the cycle. He's gotten off kilter, he's gotten out of the house, out of the way, and here's how it works. He has to come back, he has to discard you, let the silence grow for a while, wait to see if you chase, wait to see if you follow him, and if you don't, time to Hoover. I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you so much. I've been in therapy. I've been working. I realize everything I've done. I know I've messed up, but I've changed. Like, I need you in my life to be able to help me heal. Do any of those sound familiar? He's not sorry. He's strategic in what he's saying to try to be able to reel you back in. He's watching to see if you still need the fantasy more than you want the truth. Because the truth inside of this is it's not pretty at all. The truth is you were just a mirror to him. You reflected back everything that he wanted to believe about himself until you saw behind the mask, until you saw who he actually was. And when you saw the manipulation, the gaslighting, the cheating, the cruelty, well, he's like, well, done with you, and he discarded you. Not because you were too much, even though he told you that, but because you finally saw too clearly who he actually was. And now that you might be silent, you might be indifferent, you might be trying to rebuild your life, it becomes a threat to him because he's losing access and control over you. And he will do whatever it takes to get back in. Whatever. He'll say whatever, he'll do whatever, he'll cry, he'll talk, he'll do whatever it takes to get back into your life. Not because he's trying to love you, not to grow with you and try to rebuild, but to prove that he still owns you emotionally. You see, a lot of narcissists are looking at you thinking that you're an appliance. And it's almost like this appliance starts having a mind of its own. The refrigerator says, I'm no longer going to be here. And it starts to walk out. And the nurse is like, how dare you walk out on me? Get back into your spot. Right? Because he thinks that he owns you. He thinks that he's in charge of you. And if you're not at a place where you're grounded in the facts, like if you're still clinging to the hope of who he could be, he's got an entry point. He's got a way back into your world. The Hoover works because it hits every wound that you haven't healed yet. Might be your fear of being abandoned, the craving of needing closure for you, the belief that you're only worthy if someone chooses you, even if they've abused you over and over. He's using all these as entry points to get back into you. That's why it feels so hard. It feels so strong. It's not love, it's trauma. And it's the trauma bond that activates. It's your nervous system reacting to the cycle that has been conditioned and trained to be a part of its everyday life. But just because it feels familiar doesn't mean it's healthy. A narcissist oftentimes will condition you and train you to get used to the awful experience, get used to the chaos. and feel like chaos is comfortable. So when you get out of that relationship and you don't have the chaos, you're like, whoa, this feels weird. Yeah, because when you haven't experienced peace, peace feels disconcerting. It's like you have peace, but you don't really have peace. Like, you know, life is peaceful, but you don't feel the peace inside because you're not used to it. But now when you're looking at this, now that you know a Hoover is coming from a place of control, not love, we have to shift the focus from him back onto you. Let's talk about why it still gets to you. Why you still freeze up when his name pops up on your phone. Why you still have your stomach that just drops when you hear his voice. Why there's a piece of you, like a small quiet part of you that still wonders, what if he means it this time? That's not weakness, that's just evidence that you have a trauma bond. You have a mental and emotional addiction. A trauma bond is created through this emotional unpredictability, when it goes up and down, highs and lows, when love, when pain, when confusion get all twisted together and then thrown into the hope and potential of who he could be, and then you're left with two opposing thoughts being like, I don't even know what to think. When the person hurting you is also the one that you're looking to for comfort, you develop trauma bond. When your body can't tell the difference between intensity and intimacy anymore, you develop a trauma bond. This is what narcissistic abuse does. It creates this mental and emotional addictive cocktail that leaves you stuck and going back. And it doesn't just erode who you are. It doesn't just erode your peace. It rewires your perception of what love feels like. It shifts your whole reality. So there's a part of you that, of course, like you want him. Not because he's good for you, but because he's part of the addiction that you've been used to. It becomes familiar. Your nervous system was trained to interpret chaos as closeness. Like, okay, I should probably be with him because of this. Breadcrumbs are seen as affection. Apologies are like, oh, we're making progress. But inside this is a harsh truth and reality that you need to hear from someone who actually wants to see you win inside of this. Familiar does not mean safe. You might have a familiarity from this relationship that's been there your entire life because you were abused as a kid, because your parents were narcissists, because you had this happen inside of other relationships. You had this happen inside of education, inside of religious organizations. You had this happen. Intensity doesn't always mean intimacy. Just because he's intense doesn't mean there's actual connection there. Just because your body reacts doesn't mean you're meant to stay. Just because your mind spins doesn't mean he's your person. He's not. Right now, he's your pattern. He's your addictive. He's your drug. He's the old story that you've told yourself for so long that your worth is proved by your ability to fix broken people. If you're a person that's watching today and you're like, yeah, it's just hard because I'm here and I'm just a fixer. I just want to fix people. Underneath a lot of it, it becomes an ego trip. It becomes an ego boost if you're trying to fix other people versus you actually fixing yourself. Because inside of you trying to fix everyone else, the person that loses is you. And you end up being enabling, you end up being self-abandoning, you end up doing so many different things trying to fix someone. When one, it's not your job, and two, it's not your responsibility, and three, you can't. You're not able to fix a person. You're able to heal and grow and develop you, but you can't fix and you can't force another person to heal. And when you think you can, that's where your ego starts getting in the way and you start not to realize the truth of reality. You understand you're valuable if you're chosen. Like you hang on to that and you hang long enough to be able to see, okay, maybe I was chosen. Maybe I'm valuable now. You hang on long enough to try to see if he'll finally see you. All this has to end now. Because what you're waking up to right now is the most important thing that you ever realize inside of this whole journey. You don't need him to come back to treat you better. You need to treat yourself like you never deserved that in the first place. You need to treat yourself better. You need to stop waiting for his validation to justify you exiting the relationship. You already have enough reasons to leave. You don't need one more out of the 100 you already have. And oftentimes there's pitfalls that happens inside of this, and that's the recycled fantasy that goes on. That's what he sells during the Hoover. The reality of like, oh, let's believe the best version of the love story that you wanted, that you never really had, but you believed it earlier on. He's going to say he's changed. He's going to remember the good times. He's going to say all different types of things. He says he misses your heart, your strength, your passion. But it's all scripted out to try to make sure that he gets you back to where he wants you to be. Because if he really wanted to honor you, honor your heart, well, he wouldn't have broken it repeatedly to start off with. If he really wanted to love your strength, well, then he wouldn't have tried to dim it and belittled it, made you feel stupid. And if he really saw you, your fire and your passion, he wouldn't have spent hours trying to extinguish it. So the challenge inside of all of this is when the Hoover comes, because we know that it will, you don't flinch. You don't fantasize about it. You don't pretend that it's going to happen. You don't even reply. You don't start rewriting the history just because you're lonely. Like, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe we can figure it out. But instead you take a pause. You breathe. You ground yourself and remember the truth, and you hold your ground inside of this. You start writing down the things that have actually happened. You start writing down the things that have affected you. And this is the moment that separates the survivors from the cycle repeaters, the people that keep having this happen over and over and over. Not when he discards you, not when he gaslights you, not when he lies to you, not even when you walk away, but the people that actually are the cycle breakers that no longer have this happen. The defining moment is when he hoovers you and you don't go back. That's when there's a shift that happens. That's when you stop bleeding out for someone who only shows up to reopen the same wounds. That's where you start to take back your voice, your power, who you actually are. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's not. It's one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. This is the moment where your brain just tells you, just hear him out. Maybe he's different this time. Maybe he actually means it this time. Maybe he's actually changed. Maybe it's actually working. And this is where your healing has to get louder than your habits, because those haven't helped you long term so far. The man discarded you like you were nothing and then only came back when your silence felt inconvenient. He didn't show up for your pain in the relationship. He showed up to regain power over you, to make sure he still had control and access. And here's what I need you to understand inside of this. You don't fight the Hoover with words. You're going to lose. He's going to manipulate the words too much. You fight it with action. You don't try to explain your boundaries to him. You don't try to retrain him as an adult. You just enforce them. You don't try to convince him of your value, of your worth. You walk into it. You step into it. You don't try to find closure from him because it doesn't come from him. You close the door yourself. And inside all of this, when it hurts, because it's going to hurt, it's going to rack your body with pain like you haven't experienced before. Not because you're going back, but because you're grieving what never really was. When it hurts, you learn how to process the pain and you learn how to keep going. Not just moving past it so you get numb and so you avoid the emotions, but how to actually deal with the emotions, deal with the triggers to release them so you can continue moving forward. Sometimes you have to do this with community, surrounding yourself with people, like-minded people who remind you of your power. When your memory starts to slip and you get ready to contact him. You rebuild a life where your peace is protected, where your intuition is honored, where you're able to process the triggers, get rid of the things that are holding you back, where your boundaries now are now respected. You don't stay in the story where you're the one that got left behind. You start writing the chapter where you become untouchable, standing in your power, in confidence and clarity. And if you don't know how to start that chapter, that's what I'm here for. Helping women actually break free long term. This is the work that I do every single day with women where you're at right now. Who are on the edge of freedom, but they're scared out of their mind, wondering if they're strong enough to do so, if they can actually let go, if they can actually work, if they can actually process. You are. But you might need a coach in your corner to remind you of what you're really fighting for. Because it's not for him. It's not for revenge. It's not for rekindling. It's for you. For your clarity. For your confidence, for your freedom, for your voice wants to be heard without shame and guilt. So book a call today at rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Let's talk through your story. Let's navigate and name the patterns that have been in your life that have kept you in these cycles. Let's build your exit plan, your rise plan, because you don't just leave. You level up. You grow and develop who you are. No more crumbs from him. No more begging to be chosen, wondering when he's going to see you. No more second chances for someone who weaponized you and you weaponized your love. This is your moment to rise, to grow, and develop. Take that step. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough today and let's talk. You've been told it's all your fault and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times, and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, schedule a call there, and let's talk. You left him. You blocked the number, you deleted the photos, you walked away from the chaos, but if you're really honest, he still lives in your head. You still shrink when someone raises their voice. You still second guess every decision. You still hear his words spoken in your own voice now. That's not healing, that's just surviving on autopilot. No one's told you that this part of the whole journey will be the hardest. Not the leaving, but the aftermath is one of the most difficult pieces. Like where you're out of the relationship, but you're still trapped in the middle of all the damage, in the middle of all the confusion. That's why I created the Reclaim Workshop. It's a one-day trauma-informed workshop for women who've survived narcissistic abuse but haven't yet fully felt free. We're going to meet in Orlando, Florida, virtually or in person, in July 12th. And in that room, we'll do what the relationship never allowed you to do. We'll tell the truth. We'll break the cycle, and we'll come back home to you. Click on the link. Don't let the ghost of a man control the woman that you're actually becoming now.